And I just lost my train of thought. So I would like, I'm also a volunteer with the organization that's hosting this meeting, volunteering with the Wilson County Resource Preservation Project. And if you haven't signed up for a committee after we talk about what's going on, if you would please sign up for a committee, that would be awesome. And I cannot see my notes now. Yes. Okay.
Sorry.
I'm not a bat. I think I'm a cat sometimes, but I'm not a bat. A little bit, please, yeah. Okay, then, yeah, because I can't see my notes at all. I'll get my cell phone flashlight. There we go. Okay, thank you. Well, I've already introduced myself, and at this time we're going to do the pledge to the United States flag. So if you're able to stand, please stand, remove your hats. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And now John Doyle is going to offer our prayer.
Thank you, Lord, for bringing us here safely, and open our eyes and open our minds and guide our lips to say the right things and take home what needs to be taken home and then get everybody back home safe. Thank you, Lord. Amen.
Thank you, John. John Doyle was raised in the area also, and his family is a big part of helping us with this issue. This evening we are here to understand what's happening, what's being proposed, what it is and what it means, what we have accomplished, and what we can do about the issue. This is not a time, and this is not about politics, and this evening we are going to focus on how to resolve some of these issues and how to work together to save our county. This is about protecting our environment, our water, land, air, wildlife and livestock, farms and ranches, mostly of generational ranches and farms that are out here in Wilson County. This evening, please be respectful, and there will be a question and answer session at the end of John's and Rochelle's presentation. Okay, thank you. John.
So, the main thing to understand here is that there are a very large number of developments. I mean, we're talking, I believe that's in the top, not too bad, but there are 6 solar projects, 5 battery energy storage system facilities, and 1 data center and a natural gas power plant. So, you can't hear me? I'm sorry.
Right there.
Okay, perfect. Right. So, we've got this divvied up. Can you get the lights off? I'm sorry. So we've got this divvied up by precinct in the county here. And so there we go. So these are your Wilson County precinct maps. So a laser, but so you can see all it's approximately. Nope. I need to go back. Yeah, okay. And so what we're looking at here is about 3 to 3.8% of the county is going to be covered in solar farms here. And so I'm lost here. I'm sorry. Look at that one. No, I'm sorry. So we're not against technology. We're not against bringing money to this county, right? Like, we understand that there needs to be money made for this county one way or another. But we want this to be a matter that has public oversight and is not done in the shadows. What happens is these programs have been going on in the background for 2 years, some of them 4. And I don't know about you, I've just heard about almost all of these within, I mean, I've been digging for weeks and weeks and weeks, and I'm just now finding about some of these. We've just found 3 or 4 in the last month. And so there is so much going on here that it's been hard to keep track of. And all these things are going to affect our air quality. It's going to affect our property values, especially if you're living on the edge of these properties. And until they get these power plants going, it's going to affect your electricity bills too, and even after that, just to a lesser degree. So what they're trying to do here is we're trying to get data centers built on just about every mile of these power lines in the county. And so, I don't have it on. Well, anyway, I'll have it at the end so you can see. So, got it? Okay, so here you go. See those green lines? Those are the 345 kilovolt power lines that are going through this part, or this county. And so, those are core to these projects succeeding, and the reason why they're here. Along with the aquifers here, you can see the green area between the blue lines. That's another reason. So we have several 345 kilovolt lines in this county, and it's sitting on top of an extremely deep aquifer, the Carrizo-Wilcox aquifer. And the reason that's important is because these things use so much power that they have to have power plants, and they have to have cooling for these power plants and these data centers. And these data centers use an incredible amount of power. And to be cooled, because of the waste heat that this power consumption produces, they need a lot of cooling for that. So they need a very deep aquifer with, and also the gas lines. You can see these pink lines. There's one here. So there's one on the west side. You can barely see it because it's overlapped with the north-south line there. But we have 2 massive natural gas power lines, or pipelines, excuse me, going through this entire county. And so it's very cheap for them to develop here, and so there's a lot of pressure for them to come to do this quickly because we're essentially in an AI arms race. They are trying to get as many of these things built as quickly as possible before this AI bubble bursts. Because right now, I mean, I haven't looked at the market today, but the AI and data center segment of the market is not doing great. And so they're trying to, $2 trillion loss, apparently, this week. So, yeah. So they're trying to get all this done so that whoever's left when the bubble bursts is first in, best dressed, and can buy up all the rest of them when they're done. And so the key thing here is the solar is going to be built very quickly. The reason these are a big deal is because of how quickly they can be built. And so, we're starting off with Precinct 1. There's Moonstone Solar, and this was just announced in the commissioners meeting on, what was that, last Monday, I believe? Last Monday. And so they are looking for an abatement on this already. That's about the time when we just first found out about this. And so that is it, I'm not sure if CPS owns it or if they own the power lines. I haven't nailed that down yet. But it's also got a battery energy storage facility on this site. And then also in Precinct 1, there is another battery energy storage facility on site of the substation at 775, and I believe it's 181? Yes, it's just south of 775 and 181. And so that's going to be a pretty large facility. It's 150 megawatts. It's a lot. Oh, yes, each one of these things, every one of these battery energy storage facilities is going to need a fire plant, because, or fire station, not a fire plant. Because these things, I'm sure everybody here has seen those lithium fires. That's what we're talking about. This is a large lithium battery, like an industrial scale lithium battery. And if these things catch on fire, they can't be put out. And so these have to be managed from afar, and just to keep them from spreading to the surroundings for weeks, sometimes these batteries will burn. And so this is Precinct 1. So that's 3,300 acres just in Precinct 1 for solar. Precinct 2 has another solar and BESS facility. That's an additional 1,120 acres, and it's 200 megawatts, so it's slightly bigger than the last. It's smaller in footprint, but larger in output, just because of the way that the properties are laid out. And it also has a battery energy storage facility. Forgot if I said that. And then Marcelina BESS, this is also in Precinct 2. It's on 50 acres, and it's about the same size battery energy storage as the site that's co-located on the solar farm. Precinct 3, we've got, it's a large complex. It's called the Mojo Energy Hub. And so on this Mojo Energy Hub, there's also going to be a co-located data center. And this is what all of these developments ultimately are about, is we're not building all of these power plants for us. We don't need that much power. I mean, we need a little bit because we're growing, but we don't need to be increasing our power consumption by 60%. These data centers are why we're doing this. And so on this site, they have 528 megawatts of power. And so that on its own is enough to run the data center during the day. The problem is, the sun goes away and we don't have any more power. So they're going to co-locate on this site. And, well, let's put it that way. Yeah, they haven't. The plan is to co-locate this with a natural gas power plant. And this is one of the big hang-ups that we have with this project in particular because of the emissions and the noise and also the short lifespan of these things. It's a total disaster, these reciprocating power plants. So, but all of these other things, I forgot to mention at the beginning of this, these are all entries based off of the ERCOT queue. And so we're pretty stinking sure about what these values are going to be. We don't know exactly how big in all cases. All these maps have been reproduced from maps that were put into the clerk's office or on the developer's website and reproduced using the tax records, property tax, CAD. Yeah. Oh, and that's the other thing, I'm sorry. That in particular, that power plant is going to be very, very loud. Very loud. Like an 18-wheeler, but with a jet engine put over it for cooling these things because we live in Texas. It's not easy to keep an engine that's a 20-liter, it's a V20, I think it's a 900 cubic inch, 900 liter, excuse me, displacement engine. So this thing is massive, and there's going to be 206 of them on this site. If you can see, it's hard to tell from this because the picture is so small, but just above that red square on the bottom right, there's one sited on there. And this is on a flat field with almost no trees surrounding it, excuse me. And so this noise is going to carry a very, very long distance. Oh, I'm sorry, and one more thing. So the reason I said that these are all permitted, so we know about these these reciprocating engines because of a TCEQ standard air permit. This other one we found on their website. And so if you see in the top left picture, this is from the developer's website, and it says 3 combined cycle gas turbines, 1,400 megawatts. That's approximately the same size as one of the largest turbine sets in Calaveras Lake. And this is slated to use approximately 5 million gallons per day on average, and up to 9 million gallons per day on the hottest days with high humidity. And on top of that, the data centers may use up to 1 million gallons per day. The data center's website says up to 2 million gallons per day or more with ample room for expansion. Because they, just like everywhere else in Texas, they're trying to build data centers everywhere. They don't want to just have one data center. They want to have many data centers all over the place. Anywhere you see those neon green lines, that's where they want a data center. Because they have to transmit that power somewhere up and down that line in order to get it to the data center. Okay. And then I think that's the big thing. And, okay, so and then there's WCRPP Solar Invest. That's in the northeast quadrant of the county, and that is approximately 1,300 acres, and it's 125 megawatts. So it's about a tenth of that power plant I was just talking about. It's reasonably small. But these things take up a lot of land. One of the biggest developments in the entire county is Clear Fork Solar Invest. That's going to take up almost 6,000, so 5,739 acres. This is just about, this is under construction now. This is the only one of these sites that's actually under construction now. The rest of these are proposed. And this one will have a co-located BESS. It's going to be the largest BESS in the entire county also. It's going to be approximately 600. They don't say, I don't know the exact values, but it's going to be a very, very large battery energy storage facility.
Where's it going to be? Where's that going to be?
Yes, that's right next to Nixon. Yes. And so so every time you see BESS, you need to think that we need to have a fire station, an additional fire station for this county. And we're in the middle of a drought.
And not just the fire station be equipped to deal with it.
Yes.
The lithium coming off of that is absolute poison.
Yes, that's true too. It contaminates the surroundings for as long as they're going. I mean, these things they're full of heavy metals and the ash that they produce is extremely basic and harms all sorts of plants and animals.
That's why they keep saying they don't have it.
Yes. And so that is, I believe, the last of the developments in this county. But I mean, we're talking, can you go back to the first? I can't remember the exact. I believe it's up to 17,000 acres. So it's approximately 3.8%. There you go. So 3.4, sorry, percent of Wilson County, assuming that this Mojo data center complex expands, which it almost certainly will, just to be able to accommodate the solar farm that they are expecting, or they're proposing for that site. So we're looking at 3.4% of all land in Wilson County, including roads, including houses, everything. 3.4% is going to be due to solar farms. And so the thing is, the more that we allow this to happen here, the more investment is going to influence our county. And this is going to keep coming more and more. This is going to become a snowballing issue. That's why we're trying to get a hold of this now. Oh, so that's just the one. So I just wanted to show. So now you can see, if you look at these developments, you can see they're all co-located on these the neon green lines, which are the large high voltage lines, and they're nearby these natural gas. I'm sorry. The natural gas lines, so that they can easily be fed natural gas in a short amount of time. That's the critical thing here, is that all of this infrastructure already exists, so it's going to be quick and easy for them to build these things. That's why they're here. This is for their convenience, not for us. And so the other critical thing is that we have almost no regulations on this. You'll see, if you look on their website, they say we're going to comply with all local regulations on drought restrictions, on the amount of water that can be pumped, all that sort of thing, but there's almost nothing. I mean, there are some limited regulations, but they're toothless. They're very difficult to enforce. And so, once these come in, it's going to be very difficult to stop them. There are options of what we can do, but we want to try and get this done as soon as possible.
Can you point out the major highways on that so we know?
Sure, we can do that real quick. So, this is 87, going up to that, all the way across 87 going here. That's 97 right here, and that's 181 and 123. But I think that's pretty close to everything I've got. You ready to go, Sean?
Hello, I'm Rochelle Rackham, and as you can tell, we're not professional presenters. I would rather take a beating than stand up here and visit with you. But this is so important because we're going to lose our ranches. I look at the 3 irrigation wells that I drilled, and I think as soon as they start this, I won't have any more irrigation water. It's going to be over. And as soon as they start this, our property values are going to go. And so if you wanted to sell and move, you're too late. So we have a choice here. There are other counties and better commissioners who are doing something about this, but our commissioners aren't doing anything about it. So there are 12 of us that have put this together in 5 weeks. We need help. We need a lot of help. And we're hoping that you guys will help. You know, this costs money to put out brochures, go to meetings, put out signs, keep people informed, but we also need busy hands. So let me just go through this. John? Sorry, I didn't mean to divert, but I'm very passionate about this. This carries long-term health care also, because once the solar farms, which are being incorrectly constructed, and I can say that because I'm an engineer and I've constructed solar farms, and the way that you construct them is to lay down very thick pond liner, and then you put everything on top of the pond liner, you slant it down so everything off of those solar panels moves into a pond and evaporates, and you hold all of the heavy metals and all of the chemicals. And you guys probably know going up on 1604, there's a really nice pond on the right-hand side, and there's a big solar farm that they put on the left-hand side. And I was talking to the guy that owns that, and I said, I never see anybody here anymore. And he said, well, we used to have lots of fish and people would come down on the weekends, but ever since they put up the solar panels, all the fish died. Well, that's because all the water runs off, it's chemicals, it's heavy metals, and it runs right into that pond. That's what's going to happen to our aquifers, but nobody in this county will stop and say to the developers, you cannot develop it like that. We have standards. And if you're going to develop it, we want it developed right. But we just don't have the people to do it in this county unless it's us. And we're going to have to do it. And we're going to have to make them do it right. Okay, let's get into this. What are we asking for? 93% of Wilson County depends on the groundwater. So everyone in this room is going to be affected in some way or another. And this is very strange coming from me because I hate the government, but I want you guys to register your wells with Evergreen. I know they send you a little thing and say, did you register your wells? And we throw them away. Register your wells. Tell them you used all 2 acre-feet per acre of water, because every drop of water you register is a drop that they can't give to industrial. If billion-dollar projects are coming, they must use the best available technology. I prefer that we stop them. I don't think we can, but I think we can limit them, and I think we can force technology on them. This is a gas-fired power plant that I happen to build. I do that for a living. Next to it is a fuel cell technology. It's new technology, and what it does is it takes our natural gas, it splits the hydrogen off of the oxygen in the natural gas, it burns the hydrogen, and you get clean water as a byproduct. It has almost no emissions and makes almost no sounds. Big companies in the United States are building these. The technology has been around for 15 years. Caterpillar and Seguin builds them. We should demand that instead of that, because this power plant, you need 3 sets of hearing protection to even be around it. It's like setting 3 gigantic 747s next to each other, turning the engines to full throttle and running them 24/7, and that's what we're going to hear. And the problem with this is that we don't have the information, because now they're trying to hide more information, but before that, we know that they want to put a power plant over on 123 on something called Puma Ranch, which if you're going to Seguin, it's back behind that red saloon. There's 5,000 acres back there, and any place along the 375 kVA lines, they want power plants on both ends and maybe a third one, and then they want to put data centers every mile along that line, because it's a cheap way to do it. And the problem with these data centers is that they say we use 1 million gallons a day, but if they use 2 million gallons a day, what are you going to do? I spoke to a data center engineer in Massachusetts last week, and he said he builds for Google, and he goes, oh yeah, that's our standard spiel. I said, what do you really use? He says around 5.5 million gallons a day. So if you think about putting 10 of these, 50 million gallons a day, 20 of them, 100 million gallons a day, plus the power plants, somebody has to stand up and say no. Okay. We've been at this for 5 weeks. This is what we've accomplished in 5 weeks. We're tired and we need help. We've conducted extensive research uncovering projects that have not been disclosed to the public and finding the maps. John has done that almost all by himself. We formed a 501(c) nonprofit organization. We've got a website and Facebook page. We've attended Commissioner's Court. for all the good it did. The first time we went, they told us they'd never heard of these projects. The second, no, I'm very serious. They actually told us they had not heard of any of the projects that we were there complaining about. So they're not going to help. The only way that this is going to stop is if the county does something. But they say they have no tools. And to some extent that is true, they have no tools. But we can help them find the tools to do this. We've established a Give, Send, Go for donations because signs and brochures and outreach is not cheap. None of that money goes to any of us, and anything left over we're going to donate to another county, but we have got to get up to speed, like, what is the county at, not New Braunfels?
San Marcos.
San Marcos.
Hayes County shut down.
Hayes County. Their commissioners didn't want this. Their commissioners saw problems. They stopped it. The Indian tribe down at Del Rio said, oh no, we're not having these on tribal land. They stopped it.
Seguin also shut one down.
Seguin shut it down. But our commissioners can't seem to do anything. So if you can help, we would appreciate it. And we'd like to hear from you guys. So we're going to open up the floor. It will take a couple of minutes if anybody wants to say anything. Or I'll bring the microphone to you if you don't want to get up.
I forgot to mention that Kosciuszko Hall is also a nonprofit, and they have water and soft drinks for $2, and they're kind enough to open this up for us this evening.
You have mentioned the Evergreen Water
Yes.
District Conservation District. Aren't they a party to all this?
I did
Wrong.
mention them. I said register your wells and tell them you need your 2 acre-feet per acre. They are not doing anything. They say they don't have the tools to do anything. We have said, go change the rules. There's one more very important thing that we got done. I don't know why I didn't put it on the list. The Republican Party of Texas, I did some work for them a couple of years ago, and we actually got them to come out with a forum, a moratorium, saying we want to put a hold on all data centers in Texas until something is done. We read it to them at the Commissioners Court last week, and they just shrugged.
Yes, I'm hearing similar that the county commissioners are saying they don't have the authority to do the halting of this till the state gives them the authority
Well,
to do that.
then how have 8 other counties halted it?
I don't know that.
Okay? They don't have the authority because they don't want the authority because they want these projects to happen. But they don't want them to happen. You know, we could have a few data centers here, but they can't even tell me how they're going to make money off of the data centers. I said, what is the economic benefit for every person in this county? We're giving up something. What are we getting? What are they doing? They're giving them 12-year tax abatements. And I found a document that Stockdale School is suggesting to the tax office that they devalue the land that they gave to the solar farm so they can pay less taxes when they pay taxes in 12 years. So we need to be on the school board's backside, excuse me, and we need to start kicking some backside, because if we don't, if people do nothing, if you leave here and think that 12 of us can do it, we're not doing it. We need help. So we are going to, I've already prepared it, we are asking for a complete transparency of information. And they have 10 days to answer it. I think what they're going to say is, we need $20,000 to do this work for you. But I'm not going to be put off by that. I'm going to find people to donate, I'm going to beg and wheedle, and I'm going to get that transparency information, because we want to know how long, you know, from we never heard of these projects, and now we know they've been around for 4 years. We want to know when they talk to people. who they've been talking to, what are their email records, what have they given away that they haven't even told us about?
They're the ones making the money also.
Exactly.
When I spoke in Commissioners Court, they emphatically told me 5-year abatements are the limit, and you just said 12.
They've got a 12-year abatement on
Okay,
something.
Debbie's going to speak next, but also if you can donate online, our websites are on the web. We have a website with a donation link on the website as well as on our Facebook page.
So I'm Debbie Segovia. My neighbor Andy and I are here. We are involved in a lot of different community issues in Wilson County. We both attended the precinct and the county convention, Republican convention Saturday. Mike Monreal is our county judge-elect. He forwarded a resolution that's going to go to the state convention in June. And it is about a moratorium on data centers. So I can tell you that our new county judge-elect is very involved. He's very interested and he's very concerned about these data centers popping up. To the question about whether county commissioners can do anything about this, I retired from community or public service. I worked for the city of San Antonio for 12 years and I worked for Solis for 8 years. Before that, I was in oil and gas. So I have a nice broad experience of these kind of things. County commissioners, counties do not have any zoning authority, none. They have been stripped of all zoning authority over the last 50 years. And it's a terrible thing. Lobbyists go to Austin and they support the cities. They underwrite city council members, their campaigns, and they have gotten all zoning authority residing with cities now. So if any of these plants were within the city limits of Floresville or Lavernia, we would have more resources to help us. However, that said, there are tools available to the county, but you have to be very creative, and it takes a lot of work. And I have put together a white paper that I submitted to the convention on Saturday, and that's being forwarded. And it's all about creating what is called a tax increment reinvestment zone. And this would be in line with what Mike Monreal campaigned on, which is setting aside areas for development. In other words, preserve the ag lands, preserve the ranch lands, set aside areas that for whatever reason, they might not be conducive to ag. So we set that aside. We call it a TIRZ, Tax Increment Reinvestment Zone. And I think that she was talking about that with the school district. They were talking about a lower tax rate. That's what a TIRZ is if you build something worth $40 million, you're only going to be taxed at 10% of it the first year. The amount of money that you should have paid, it goes into a special fund, and the developer can use that money with the oversight of the TIRZ board to build roads, streets, sewer systems, power lines, whatever is needed. It works out really well. It's worked very well in San Antonio and Bexar County. There's never been one in Wilson County, so this is uncharted territory for them. But I'm working with the people at Wilson County and talking to them about setting this up.
Thank you.
Hey y'all, my name's Audrey Lindholm, and what I'm going to say is going to be way simpler and less complicated than all this awesome data that's being presented, and I really appreciate these people because this is not what I do. What I do is I talk to my neighbors. I talk to people in different areas. I talk to my friends. I talk to my great aunts. I talk to my kids, and we talk about what's going on. So, for instance, if we have a goal of $20,000, there's more than one way to get things done. We all work hard, we can do this. If we can get $20,000, 20,000 people online to donate $1, we're there. That's easy peasy. I would give $1 to anybody who needed $1 for a worthy cause. There's more than one way to get things done. So I do want everyone to feel like, to have some hope here, we can get this done. We are trying to make sure that we protect our resources, water. In kindergarten, very simple, I don't know why this is so confusing for all these agencies and businesses and corporations and billionaires out there coming to our area and telling us how we need to do things. They teach you in kindergarten, water, shelter, food. You die within 3 days, I believe, without water. Why are they taking our water? We have children, we have grandchildren, we have cattle, we have crops, and we need clean drinking water. Not everybody goes and buys bottled water. Some people in our community are less fortunate. We're all at different income levels. We've all been at different income levels in our lifetime. Water should not be priced out for the poor. So this is like a basic necessity. So I don't know what the miscommunication is with these people, but I think we need to have hope, and I think there's more than one way to do things, and I think we can do it. Let's work together.
Okay, who else would like to speak?
I would.
Rochelle.
Non-political?
Rochelle.
2 minutes, we're 2 minutes.
Ginger has the mic first.
Okay.
I'm talking.
Oh, I'm sorry, Jim.
I'm sorry. To add to the water thing, I've been looking into the health issues caused by all these data centers. Oh, thank you. I've been looking into the health issues, and I didn't even think about this, but the lack of water leads to poor hygiene, leads to diseases, if you can't wash your clothes, if you can't take a shower. But the noise levels are what I'm looking at right now, what I'm talking about are, and the health issues they cause, especially to, I'm gonna say the list first because, listen up, individuals with chronic cardiovascular and respiratory health, like asthma and chronic bronchitis, children and developing fetuses, the elderly, pregnant women, residents in rural sacrifice zones and quotes who rely on private well water, and individuals with noise sensitivity. But the low frequency humming from these units, that just constant, causes insomnia and chronic exhaustion, neurological stress. These sound minor, but when they build up, there's data that, documentation that early people have died premature deaths on account of these issues. The high-pitched noise, anyway, we have copies of these over here if you want one, but I encourage everyone to get with your EDCs and your county commissioners and your school boards and tell them, you could even write and tell them your specific issue, that you have health issues and they need to stop this for our health.
Thank you, Ginger.
I know that we're having a new judge, but by the time he gets in, this is going to be a done deal. We're going to be too late. It's going to be like Medina County. They let one in, and now they have 8 data centers and 2 power plants under construction. So we need to get busy on this as soon as possible, not waiting for the next administration to do something.
Y'all being so vocal as you are, that's really good because it makes the investors nervous.
That's
So
good.
if
They
we
should
get
be
the
nervous.
investors nervous,
Oh,
then
they
they'll
have
pull
foreign
out.
investors, by the way. I forgot to mention that. Foreign investors. And developers.
Oh, yeah.
Right now, there are rural communities all over the United States. I've worked on power plants, I'm an electrician, 25 years, heavy industrial work. When this starts, when they start building this, it's going to be a build 24/7 around the clock. And I'm just talking about the basic construction, getting it built. It's going to be noise, it's going to be traffic. We aren't set up on 123 for this, to have trucks in and out all the time, and we're not on 539 either for trucks to come, because it's going to be empty. Go, 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 then they're going to leave and it's going to be built. And then, and the lodging and everything. Y'all think that it was hectic when we had the oil boom here, because I was a part of it, with the trucks up and down the road and the construction. It's going to be way more hectic than that. And when this thing starts to run, it's never going to stop. It's always going to go, and it's always going to take water, and it's always going to be light pollution. It's never, ever, ever going to stop. And that's how serious this is. And it's going on all over the United States right now. And I don't think people are understanding the magnitude. Go out to Brawning Lake this weekend and to Calaveras and just ride around there and look at that. That times 2 is going to be right down the road. And it's going to be there forever. And your grandkids are going to see it, and your grandkids are going to see it, and it's going to be here. And no one's going to want to be here, especially when it dries up. This is how serious it is. It's happening all over the United States and all rural communities right now. Nobody.
Nobody, the developers.
The developers.
People that decide.
Some people in the county might benefit.
You get tax dollars.
Mr. Hurd?
So, real quick, first off, America, you guys, if there was ever an opportunity where you all reinforce the indomitable American spirit, it's here right now. What I want to do is just to motivate and taking everything that you said. Bottom line up front, everybody's heard Ronald Reagan's speech, American way of life is never more than one generation away from going away. Well, he actually got that speech from a book called The Spirit of Laws by Baron de Montesquieu. And in that book, it talks about the three types of government. It talks about democracy, it talks about dictatorship, and then it also talks about monarchy. It says that for a monarchy to stay in power, they had to teach people about their duty to the crown. For a dictatorship to stay in power, they had to teach people about violence, meaning we put our foot on your neck and we keep you down. But for democracy to last, the people have to be educated. And so the purpose of saying that, the reason I put that back to you is because that education doesn't necessarily happen in our public schools. It happens here by us working together and doing the things we're doing now. So if we want to stop this, which we absolutely, positively can do that, and exponentially slow it down, we have to do what we're doing right now, contribute, give money, get people who have the talent to do the research, to put the information forward, and help our elected officials make the best decisions, driven by the people, to actually make things happen. And I think I'm glad I'm here, and if there's anything I can do to help, I'll sign up, I'll get in there, I'll do the research. I'm a strategist, that's what strategists do. But at the end of the day, the way this is going to get taken care of is by us, the people doing it, Americans coming together to make this happen. So I look forward to helping everybody. Thank you. I told you my name is Mark Hurd. Yes. Thank you.
Who else? What we absolutely know are the ones that John showed on his map. There's we don't have copies, I'm sorry. There's 7 very large solar plants which are going to take about 3.5% of the county. There's 1 permitted power plant which is going to be an absolute disaster. That type of power plant they're using actually uses 90 million gallons of water. Then we know that they want to put a power plant out on Puma Ranch, and they want to put a data center every mile along that big 3.375 kV power plant.
Hi, I'm Tammy. I went to the Evergreen Underground Water Conservation District meeting in Pleasanton in November, and that was when it was on the agenda for the Springs Hills Utility District for the permit for the Blumberg well. It was listed at, 1 million gallons up to 2 million gallons a day. And these are the types of things that have been put in motion years ago by many different entities and actors because they knew data was coming and big AI and things like that. So you have people that have been in on these things, buying up the land, they hold on to the land, they don't sell it to the data centers, they hold on to the land because they make money leasing the land, they get people to sell it. Texas is a right to water state. The Everground Underwater Utility District, they don't have the infrastructure in place to necessarily say no, is what I learned. As long as the people that are putting in those permits, as long as they fill out everything that they need to fill out, if they're a larger entity like that, they have to do a study, they put everything in that they need to, they don't really have anything in place to stop them. So if that's just one that's taking 2 million and another, there's nothing in their infrastructure to stop 7 or 8 or even the 1. So what can we do working with the Everground under the Conservation District?
The Conservation District can change their rules, and we're asking them to change their rules. and do everything that they can to immediately change their rules. We should not be giving water to industrial over farmers and ranchers and homes. That should stop, it should go away. So we need you guys. If people do not show up and pressure these people, if you don't show up and say, I stand against this, you work for me, you're paid for my tax dollars, then nothing is going to happen. And I am begging you to do that. The Evergreen is looking at how to change their rules because they realize they have a problem. They are looking at how, because right now they apply for a well, they give them the well, and there's no meter on it. So what, we're supposed to take Meta, $1 billion company's word that they're using the right amount of water? I don't think so. When I got started on this, it's because I trade stocks, and I listened to the CEO of BlackRock say, we are going to go to the dumbest counties in America that have no rules, that have no organizations, and we're going to put data centers there because they can't do anything to stop it. I swear, he said that 6 months ago. So now, why was he saying that? Because he has started a company on Wall Street, on the New York Exchange, to raise money. He's raised almost $1 trillion to build these data centers and lease them to Google and Meta and every other AI company, NVIDIA, Cascade. And so those, then they lease those buildings. Okay, Meta moves in and runs them. But who are you going to blame when things go wrong? Something goes wrong, Meta leaves. Oh, well, the lease is over, okay, well, we'll just go away and take all of our money to a different New York Stock Exchange company. And then we're going to be left with the problems here. Just like when we started raising the alarm about if you have a BESS plant, you absolutely must have by law a fire station with it. Now suddenly the developers are all saying, oh, we're not going to have BESS plants. Well, of course they are. You know, they're just saying it to get through and then hoping that we'll go away, and then the county's going to come back to us for taxation to build another fire station.
Hello, how you doing? My name is Ben Herrera.
Nice to meet you, dude.
Born and raised in Floresville. I've been gone for 30 years. I lived in Colorado that long. I recently came back. Full front, the hippies were killing me. I had to leave. Actually, you're talking about my little world right there, the data centers. And some of the misconceptions I want to point out. I really want to come in here. I really want to understand, not to tamper things down, but to be open to a discussion of what the data centers are. And a lot of data centers, as she was pointing out just a second ago, they are big deals. They're no jokes. They could scale really, really large. And there's a lot going on. But also, a data center is an interpretation of other things. And what I mean by that is like, so you have supercomputing. That's a very large data center, huge data center. It houses a lot of things. You also have a data center that is all network equipment. This is how we interconnect to the world out there. Remember right? You remember the Build Back Better guy and that little sidekick he had? You know, he said everybody's going to get internet, all right? And there's options. The only option for us out here, majority of us, was satellite, right? You want to get on the World Wide Web, you have to get that, okay? And that's what I do. I'm a network engineer. So anyway, but during the Build Back Better guy, you know, he put out everybody's going to have internet. Well, it's a physical medium. It's physical. Now I know I currently moved back and I live towards the Livonia area, and I live off of 539. And I know y'all are around here local. Have y'all been noticing all that on the side of the road?
Yeah, it's fiber.
Running all that fiber, right?
And it's worthless too once it's maxed out.
Well, but you know, but let's get back to the basics. You know, he wanted to That was to get everybody on the internet. Everybody had that option to get that. If you wanted it, it was your choice. If you did want it, you were going to get it or have the option to get it. No, I'm not saying it's. So anyway, what I'm trying to say is that the data centers could be a large scale, it could be a small scale, but it just depends what it is and what its purpose is. Now, if you really want to see some real action, what you're asking about, go to the Helotes area of San Antonio, and that. I've seen them across the country too, man. It's not. I mean, it serves its purpose. Some of them in a lot of them.
It doesn't serve its purpose in the world.
Well, it's right all
Hi, my name's Jeff Tone, and my background is I'm an engineer also. I have an undergraduate degree. I have an undergraduate degree in nuclear engineering and a master's and PhD in electrical engineering. And it's obvious when I look at these proposals that the way that these guys are doing the negotiation is that they're shutting it in here, and everything's biased in their favor. And the design that they're suggesting is nuts, right? It's flat nuts. Because, as I was just mentioning,
it wouldn't be built in a real world.
Yeah.
You know, there would be some kind of control. They're using 1960s technology because it's cheap, and that's what I said. Somebody's making billions, and we're going to be left with the cleanup bill.
and as she pointed out, the reason that it's using so much water is they're using an open loop cooling system. So all they want to do is install some pumps, run the water up through the wells, cool it off, and then dump it out into a pond to evaporate. Nobody does that, right? In fact, some of the other data centers don't do it. How do power plants do it? What they do is they use cooling towers, right? So you charge it up with some water to begin with. It's just like your car. How often do you add water to your car? That's a closed loop cooling system based on water. So they don't have to be using anywhere near the amount of water they claim that they have to use. So that needs to stop, right? That's crazy. Right. One thing is that we talk about having to do something quickly. Do we know how many, if anybody here, if they're lawyers? Because being from the nuclear industry, I know how to stand in the way of getting stuff done, right?
Sign him up.
So if we can, the first thing I would start doing is if we can get some attorneys, let's start filing lawsuits. You want to get some attention? Let's start filing lawsuits. Right? So, and I would put that right at the top. Let's just tie them up in knots and stop it. Right? Okay, now, but I do want to say this to you. You know, everybody's sitting here talking about how bad natural gas is and for gas-fired turbines. In the GE business, I work in several GE businesses, but we built some of these systems. And I'm telling you, the stuff I'm seeing up there doesn't at all line up with the environmental impact of these gas turbines. Those are much worse. In fact, the systems that we were building were based on aircraft engines, and they have very strict environmental requirements. So you're not going to get all this other stuff because you've got airplanes flying around all this stuff. You're not going to be polluting the air with all that kind of stuff, right? So, and also, by the way, noise. There was a lot of effort by GE to go into and build these packages that have a jet engine in it and a turbine, and they're doing like 60 megawatts electric. And they go in, they have acoustic engineers, and they go in there and they stop the resonation of all these parts that are busy vibrating and causing all the noise. And so they go in there and literally balance all that out. So they put these things next to hospitals, and people don't even know they're there.
But that's not what they're bringing to Wilson County.
That's right.
They're
And,
not bringing their best, but let's give them.
all right. All right. Well,
Stay in touch with them.
So my name is Evelyn. One thing that I am really passionate about actually is the wildlife of Wilson County. I grew up here. I was sort of mentored. I sort of call him my grandpa. He grew up around the Floresville area, and he talked about how when he was a little kid, his mama took him out and told him to go find him some chicken in the woods and go out and go find some food off of the land. And one of the big problems with these sites, being as large as they are, is all of our animals need land, but they also need land that's interconnected. For instance, quails, all of us kind of love quails, and quails, one of their biggest issues is what they call fragmentation. So let's say there's 3 plots next to each other. The person in the middle sells their plot, clear cuts it, removes all the quail habitat. Those sections that were once interconnected are now fragmented. They won't pass over a clear cut area. So all of these places that were once quail habitat were, deer, turkey, all of that now are fractured, and that's something that we have to fix. That's not something that will just come back. The plants and the environment won't come back. So that's another thing to consider about these sites.
Hi everyone, my name is Maureen Galindo. I don't just want to slow down the data centers, I want to stop the data centers in all of Texas. I think a moratorium is completely reasonable. And I'm not here to pitch myself. This is just something that's really passionate for me, but I am running for Congress for District 35, of which Wilson County is in, along with Karnes and Guadalupe and Bexar County. And we're all experiencing this, of the data centers coming in and taking our water. There's 3 rivers that go through District 35. The Guadalupe, the Medina, and the San Antonio River. I have 3 kids myself, and I chose to live in San Antonio and raise them, and now I'm imagining a future 20, 30 years from now with my grandkids not having water. I would love to support Wilson County in absolutely any way that you guys need. I've been doing activism work for the past 8 years in San Antonio. I did want to say about the TIRS, because I've done housing activism, and the TIRS actually often gets exploited by the developers. In fact, those areas downtown took TIRS money. Sorry, I get so sometimes those can be exploited. A bunch of government programs can get exploited, right? How do you change that? We scare them, right? If the county's not going to listen, who's the state representative here? Zaffarini? Where is she?
Zaffarini is the dean senator, and she is helping us. Now, I spoke with her myself. She is helping us. She put us in contact with Hayes County, and she is the lead senator of the state of Texas.
That's wonderful. Is she also with Karnes County and Guadalupe in her district?
Part of Guadalupe, and I can't say about Karnes.
I'm pretty sure Karnes, because she was at the meet there. So yeah, that's a great getting together with Karnes people and Guadalupe people, meeting with Judith. So she's the senator. Who's the representative?
Of the state of Texas.
Who?
She's Wilson County.
Gian? Yeah,
He's been real helpful.
Good, yeah, calling getting all of the information, sharing all of the information with each other, and calling them and emailing them every single day, all the time, showing up to the county commission. Is there a city stuff too in all of these little towns, right? Hold them accountable. There's no, it's just county? Oh,
No,
interesting.
Wilson County is incorporated cities in Wilson County. And as was said before, by law of the state of Texas, unincorporated areas of any county have no say-so. It goes to the state. And that's why our governor has said to TPCQ because the state controls unincorporated areas.
And that's why they're building out here, because of that. Yes, the whole issue.
So Judith, Safrini, and Kian being here and meeting with y'all, meeting with the Carnes folks, and just continuing that pressure. And I will say also, I'll just finish with that media. Media, they are so scared of media. You can put one media